Hello everybody and welcome to the first video of my YouTube channel. As with most people, I do not have much to do minding the outbreak of COVID-19. So, I decided to start a YouTube channel! This channel will mostly be based on movies, with maybe a few experiments here and there, but for now, the schedule for the channel and the content will be a director's movies will be ranked, and then I will pick my favorite scenes from those movies, and I will rank them and do a series called Scene Analysis, because then I will never run out of content. So, we are starting with Quentin Tarantino. Let me get this out there. All of these movies are amazing. Even the lowest ranked movie on this list is a super fun movie. And the biggest disclaimer is that since these movies are all great, this list comes down to personal preference more than quality. Because the quality of these movies, besides one,
Boo! You suck!
is pretty amazing. And lastly, I'm sorta kinda separating the Kill Bill movies.
Cut the cameras.
You'll see when I get there. All that aside, let's get into the rankings. Coming in at number 10 is Death Proof. Now, I haven't seen Robert Rodriguez's second part to Death Proof, Planet Terror, because it didn't come in the Tarantino collection I got. I say this because it may have made the experience better, but I didn't watch it and rank it because Tarantino didn't direct it. This hurts me to put this movie at the bottom, because if the first hour was the whole movie, this movie would at least be top 5 Tarantino for me. The style Tarantino is going for the 70s horror aspect and making the film outdated is pulled off incredibly, and only Tarantino can make this idea work. Kurt Russell as Stuntman Mike is one of my favorite performances in any Tarantino movie, but unfortunately the movie loses its magic after the first hour. It loses that 70s style for some reason, as it switches the female characters for Stuntman Mike to kill in his death-proof car. And these characters in the second half are the worst characters in any Tarantino movie and are almost more unlikable than Stuntman Mike, who is the one that's trying to kill them. God, I wish this movie was only 1 hour. But it's not, so it comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Jackie Brown. I really like Jackie Brown. It's Samuel L. Jackson at some of his best, Robert Forster with an incredibly underrated performance in my opinion, and Pam Grier, while not the star of the show and not the best performance, is still good as Jackie Brown. This movie is very well crafted, but I just don't think it's my favorite. It's still a great movie, and showing how good a director Tarantino is that this movie is number 9 on my list. And I guess that's it. I don't have much to say about this movie other than it's a great movie, but not as good as Tarantino's other stuff. Now here's where we get divisive. At number 8, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let me just preface that of all the movies going forward, these 8 are some of my favorite movies of all time. That being said, I rewatched all of Tarantino's movies for this ranking, but this is the only one I couldn't watch because you can't rent it anywhere. And I love this movie and all, but I'm not spending $20 for a digital copy. It may move up on the list after rewatches, so make sure you look in the comment section below for an updated ranking of this movie in particular. But for now, this is where it stands. The first time I watched this movie, it was awesome. Just seeing what Tarantino can do with 1969 Hollywood was a breath of fresh air for Tarantino, and you could tell how much energy he put into the movie. I do not know the story of Sharon Tate, but I know she wasn't used as much as she needed to be. Margot Robbie does fine with what she's given, but she's not given much. The pairing of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt is the best thing about this movie, hands down. They are one of the best duos in all of Tarantino's movies. And that's saying a lot, given the incredible duos in his movies. But, unfortunately, as with Jackie Brown, this movie isn't one of Tarantino's standouts in my eyes. But this movie is amazing and one of the best crafted movies in Tarantino's repertoire. Just not one of my favorites. At number 7 is Kill Bill Volume 1. So what I did was make the movies right next to each other because I think these movies are very close to each other. And I don't think it's right to put one in the bottom 3 of your list and one in the top 3. So, spoilers for the next spot on this list. But I do think Volume 1 is a bit less entertaining than Volume 2, which is another unpopular opinion, but hear me out. Volume 1 starts the story off in a fantastic and entertaining way, and has hands down the best cinematography out of any Tarantino movie. And the sequence and that fight with O-Ren is the best action sequence in any of these movies. But some of the stylistic choices, mostly the anime portion of the movie, just feel out of place within the rest of the movie, and it lowers the quality of the movie for me. But these movies, Volume 1 and 2, are Tarantino at some of his best. No surprises here, but Kill Bill Volume 2 comes in at number 6. Now, as I said before, almost every ranking I've seen has put Volume 1 above 2, but in my opinion, Volume 2 does it a bit better than Volume 1. Here's why. The movie feels much more consistent than Volume 1, and the sequences with Pai Mei are awesome, with an amazing payoff near the end. I also think the ending of the movie with Bill is also amazing, and a great ending to the story. Some of the scenes do seem pointless to the story, but overall, I think this movie is more well-rounded than Volume 1. But as a whole, these movies are basically the same, with Volume 2 barely beating out Volume 1. Controversial pick after controversial pick. My number 5 is Reservoir Dogs. Now, this movie is incredible. This is where the list becomes some of the best of all time for me. All the performances in this movie are incredible. In fact, this is the best ensemble cast in all of Tarantino's work, with every dog giving it 100%, making for one of the best Tarantino scripts, with the dialogue being perfectly suited for each of these characters. And of course, the stuck in the middle with you scene is one of the most disturbing and intriguing scenes of Tarantino's work. Alright, now the dislikes are inevitable. Coming in at number 4 is The Hateful Eight. I can't believe this movie is at some people's bottoms. This is Tarantino's dialogue at some of its best, with him building on Inglorious Bastards' suspense and making for the most suspenseful script of his career. With the opening credits being the best opening credits I've ever seen, with Ennio Morricone's haunting score sweeping over the landscape of the white snow, and the carriage riding in the distance, starting off with this movie in the best way possible. The story is centered around characters we don't know much about, but as the movie progresses, the characters get the perfect amount of growth to know what the motives of them are and why they are Minnie's haberdashery, and why they are going where they are going. It's just so good, and I can go on and on and on. And it's one of the most immersive movie experiences you will ever see. So that's why The Hateful Eight is my number 4.
Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps.
Coming in at number 3 is Inglorious Bastards. Speaking of immersive, oh man. At first, when I was about to revisit this movie, I was going into it with negative thoughts, such as, this will be near the bottom, and it's so overhyped, and it shouldn't be anywhere near the top. With a revisit, I can certainly say I was wrong. This is probably Tarantino's best crafted movie. The movie ends on the line, I think this might just be my masterpiece. And I think Tarantino might be right. Now, just because it's his best movie doesn't mean it's my favorite, but I can't put this movie any lower. If you take out Brad Pitt, this movie would be Tarantino's most suspenseful. But because this movie has performances such as Brad Pitt, it is so tonally different, which makes it so unique and so awesome. This is definitely one of the most impressive casts, and like Reservoir Dogs, everybody is giving 100%, making this movie all the more successful. We're going to talk about Christoph Waltz very shortly, but this performance is incredible, and without it, this movie would not have succeeded as much as it did. And this movie has the best scene in any Tarantino movie. And no, I'm not talking about the opening scene, which is amazing as well. I'm talking about the bar scene. More on that scene later, but just for now, just know It's peak suspense for Tarantino. If you haven't seen this movie in a while, I highly recommend giving it another try. It is incredible. Number 2 is Django Unchained. I'm going to show you a cut up part of this intro of this movie that is my favorite introduction of any Tarantino movie, even that of Christoph Waltz's entrance in Inglorious Bastards. Waltz's entrance in Django perfectly sets up the movie and shows how good this movie is.
Whoa. Good cold evening, gentlemen. I'm Dr. King Schultz.
What kind of doctor?
Dentist? Amongst your inventory, I've been led to believe is a specimen I'm keen to acquire.
What's your name?
Django.
Then you're exactly the one I'm looking for.
Hey, no sale.
Oh, very well. Please, no!
Tarantino once said in an interview that one of the coolest things he can do as a director is make the audience feel a certain way during one scene and then a new emotion in the next scene. This is the movie where he does this flawlessly. One moment you're laughing, the other you're immersed by the incredible performances by Christoph Waltz and DiCaprio, where Waltz gives his best performance, even better than that of Colonel Hans Landa in Inglorious Bastards, and DiCaprio giving one of his best performances of his wide range of incredible performances over the years. It is such a fun time, and I can't believe a movie by the same director can top this movie. But here we are, number 1. I'm going to play you a scene from Pulp Fiction that shows you why I love this movie so much.
I just want you to know how sorry we are that things got so up with us and Mr. Wallace. When we got into this thing with the best intentions, really. I never...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do that. Please, continue. You were saying something about best intentions? What's the matter? Oh, you were finished. Oh, well, allow me to retort. What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English in what?
What?
English, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
Yes.
Then you know what I'm saying. Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. What? One more goddamn time.
He's black.
Go on.
He's bald.
Does he look like a...
What?
Does he look like a... Then why you try to like a Brett?
He didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett. You tried to... And Marcellus Wallace don't like to be by anybody except Mrs. Wallace. You read the Bible, Brett?
Yes.
Oh, there's this passage I got memorized. Sort of fits this occasion. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
This is my favorite movie of all time. It's simple as that. It takes the idea of out-of-order storytelling and cranks it up to 10 in the smartest way possible. It kills off the main character in the second act of the movie. It's like Django and the tonal shifts out of thin air, but they all work perfectly. Every aspect of this movie is perfect, and I wouldn't change one thing about it. So, no surprises here, but Pulp Fiction is not only my favorite Tarantino movie, but my favorite movie of all time.